2021 Collegiate Championship Series, we just got to see Michigan Tech take down Central Michigan in our CSGO finals. But now it's time to switch it up on you guys yet again to a whole new battleground. It's time for the NACE 2021 Fortnite Duos Spring Cup finals. I am your host, Glitter Explosion, and as the games change, so do our casters, which means we are closing out the day today with none other than Trevor and Troy. We get to bring them back in. Guys, come join me up here. I'm very excited to have you back here.
Hey,
that's gross.
Trevor's struggling as far as internet is concerned.
You look fancy. You're very overdressed right now. You look nice.
I'm sorry I have to show you up like this. I'm going to blame it on the fact that my entire power just reset like 19 minutes ago. So everyone in like a 3-mile radius is probably resetting their routers right now. And it's just killing the internet.
No,
Thanks,
I'm not even worried about it. Troy, how are you feeling right now?
Much better than that guy. I'm feeling good going into this one. He even asked me, he's like, what are we wearing? I'm like, I'm just, casual. And he puts on a suit and gets a mic, and it's just unbelievable. But yeah, I'm excited. Of course, the Fortnite finals today. You obviously saw a lot of all three of us last couple of days. Now we're back in the action, the end of day 3. I'm just really excited. I'm happy to get in some more gaming.
Yeah, I'm definitely ready to get into it too. Now, I know that you are a fan of CSGO though, Troy, and did you happen to catch the championship we just had?
I did, yeah. Michigan Tech kind of popped off. Voltage, I was hearing around that is an ex-pro, so that kind of helps your case a little bit as far as being able to compete in a setting like that. But yeah, they just swept Mirage and Inferno pretty easily. As soon as I saw it in the first game, it was like 9-0 on T side of Inferno. I was like, oh. Yeah, it might be game 1 done, but go to the next. But yeah, it was a really good, impressive series.
Yeah, definitely a fun series. But now, like I said earlier, we're transitioning on over to Fortnite. So let's just dive right into this. We've got a ton of players here today. So just not necessarily specific predictions unless you do have them, but are there any duos that you might be favoring a little bit here today? And we'll start with you, Trevor.
I think I'm going to take one that Troy's not going to be happy about because he knows exactly what we're going to watch. A team that we have seen fairly frequently in Northwood University between Reliable and Slight. So Troy's going to have to come up with a separate answer. I'm not sorry. Thanks for picking me first. Those two, their names keep popping up in every single event that Troy and I have casted, and they continue to play well and place well. So certainly we'll be watching them today.
All right, Troy. And, if you pick the same team, that's okay because you guys have had similar predictions
I hate that guy.
across the past couple days. What are you thinking?
I was going to shout out the Ashland teams. There's 4 Ashland teams that made it to the finals. We've seen a lot of those names before. Dr. Duke, River, Sky. We've seen a lot of people there. But I also have to shout out the St. Clair Saints Fortnite team who came in first overall by 56 points going into this. So that's kind of the team to look out for. That's Sirius and Lasix. So that is the one team that going into these games that might be that top dog to look out. But like Trevor said, we've seen a lot of these teams before. All the Ashland teams, seen some of these teams like Northwood University, seen them quite a few times. So it's definitely some familiar names we're used to.
Yeah, love to see that. Those teams coming back time and time again. Now, obviously, different game means different rules. So let's actually go through those so you guys know exactly how the Fortnite games are going to work out and how the players are going to be playing through this. And then I think we're almost ready to get into the game. So here is our gameplay format. We've got arena duos. We've got 80 players, 40 teams. And then here are your placement points. Obviously, first place being the most points, 15 points, and then going down from there. And then you will also have 1 point per elimination. Pretty standard Fortnite format that we've seen across the board in general. So I hope you guys are ready. Trevor, Troy, I'm very excited to have you guys back here. So it's your turn. Take it away. Enjoy your Fortnite.
We love Fortnite. It's time. Fortnite. It's time. We're ready.
Internet.
Yeah, as we hear Robotic Trevor try and tune in every now and then. But yeah, I'm excited. Obviously, looking at the placement, looking at the format, it's obviously going to be very heavily placement favored with the 1 point per elimination. In previous things, we've seen some cases 5 points per elimination. That's when people just go crazy aggressive and try and just win fights. In this case, 1 point per elimination kind of means that they're going to play for those late game fights. Try and just stay in boxes and try and play the late game. We were talking about this earlier. Realistically, the only thing that matters is the last 4 minutes of the game in Fortnite, I guess you would think, because that is the main concern as far as when it goes to that late game scenario, is just how you got there. So that is going to be the main thing as we see going forward into this arena duos format. Of course, when we go into arena, that is going to mean we're on siphons, so extra 50 shield / health for each kill that you get, and obviously capped on 500 for all the materials going forward. So that is going to be something to look out for. But it's exciting, obviously, getting to go into some action. Obviously, Trevor's going to be in and out. Hopefully, keep him around when he can be, but his internet is struggling. So we will keep on moving on. But looking at the teams set up in this one, as far as the teams that we've been able to see before, something like Northwood University, Slight and Reliable, we've seen a lot of them in previous play versus NACE championships. We've seen them quite a bit. So I'm interested to see that team going back into action, like I was talking about earlier with the Ashland teams. We have seen so much of those names coming around, so I'm very used to seeing Ashland all around. But Trevor is not here anymore.
I'm here to help you for a little bit.
Yeah, Trevor's down bad. His power went out for the second time in 20 minutes, so hopefully we'll get him back soon. If not, I got this. I don't even need him anyways, but I guess we can try and get him back.
Listen, we're going to work it all out. Game's going to be ready soon anyway, so it's going to be totally fine. But just before we even get into that, I do want to, just in case there's anybody new that's in chat that might need a little bit of a differentiation, can you explain what the difference is between regular duos and arena duos?
Yeah, so regular duos, I was kind of explaining there, regular duos is versus arena is the format wise. Usually if it goes to late games in regular format, you see a lot of heal offs, a lot of people just sitting and waiting using floppers, trying to just survive and try and see if they can out heal the other teams. In arena format, it's a little bit different because you have the chance to get that 50 health and shield from the siphons. So that's something that people like to play for in the late game, is once they have to go for the kills, if they're out of shields or out of heals, then they'll try and be aggressive and try and go for those kills. And obviously, like I said, the mat difference, the material difference is 1,500 total. So that's quite a big change as far as how much you can carry going in the late game.
You know, Alice, while we're here too, I do want to take the opportunity to at least remind everybody in chat that we do have our 2 giveaways still open and running. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, we've got 2 giveaways running courtesy of HyperX and Skillshot, okay? Where you guys have the opportunity to win some pretty sweet HyperX peripheral bundles. There are 2 ways you can enter into these giveaways. First one is at social media, okay? You can head on over to @SkillshotMedia on Twitter, and all of the information on how to enter will be available for you over there. And that bundle is actually going to be a keyboard and a mouse bundle from HyperX, and that winner will be drawn on Monday, April 26th. So if you're paying attention to the calendar, that is tomorrow. So you have to get your entries in, okay? Was your watch going to tell you the calendar too?
I have an Apple Watch. It tells me what day it is.
Okay, you've got a fancy smartwatch. Well, for anyone who doesn't, those are the dates you need to be paying attention to. Then today as well, as long as you guys are hanging out with us in chat, you can do ! giveaway in chat, and that will give you all the information that you need in order to enter into the stream giveaway. And that one is another awesome bundle, which is a large mouse pad, a mouse, a keyboard, and a headset, all from HyperX. So as long as you guys are hanging out with us, being active, there's a ton of opportunities to win some really, really cool stuff. Make sure you're getting your entries in, because you definitely don't want to miss out on that. So want to make sure we get our reminders in there while we have the time to do so, because now is as good a time as ever. And I know that you're excited for that giveaway too, Troy. I know you're trying to sneak your entries on in there.
Yeah, I actually thought about it today when I was watching the Hearthstone CS games. I was like, listen, if I just sneak myself into this giveaway somehow, maybe everything will be fine. Randomly be like, oh yeah, the guy that casting one, it's not rigged. Don't worry about it. I just wanted some HyperX peripherals. I love HyperX stuff, and I even like their new mouse with the I don't know what it's called, but it has the holes in it, like the Final Mouse and the Model O that has been the new wave of gaming. Very light mouse. I think it's awesome. So I think I did want to be part of it, but I will refrain myself so other people can have that opportunity.
Such a good guy, making sure everybody can get their chance to get in. Man, that's why we bring you in. Okay, it's why you're here.
Yep, just because I'm nice sometimes. My friends wouldn't tell you that though. It just depends.
Don't say those things. Okay, now looking forward here, looking at our Fortnite matches. Let's talk about this a little bit. Obviously, people tend to play a little bit safer when it comes to competitive Fortnite, but with the, I guess, limitations, if you will, that could be on them because of the arena duos, do you think that's going to change the play style at all? Do you think we're going to see a little bit more early and mid game aggression, or do you think it's just going to be the tried and true competitive Fortnite style where players will wait as long as possible to get those placement points, secure those placement points, and then maybe go for the eliminations at the end?
I think it's going to be a lot of the end game scenario where it's going to be very passive. I kind of talked about this when looking over the placement points and kind of the kill format, is that because you only get 1 kill per elimination and you get 15 points for a win, a lot of people are going to rather play for the win, the 15 points, instead of trying to get 15 kills to match that same aspect. It's much harder to get 15 kills, obviously, than it is to try and get a first place. So that's going to be the case going into something like this. It usually, that's what dictates the kind of play style in each Fortnite tournament is how many points really that each kill is. That's kind of what people decide to change their aggression on. Everyone's going to go to the same spots, though, as far as what they're used to. Fortnite used to have 100% chest spawn rate at every location, so people got used to that. Changed to 50%, now people are just upset. But as far as it goes, they're still going to go to the same locations every game. You might see something change if a team like a powerhouse team like St. Clair's Saints esports Fortnite team comes in and destroys you at your drop. You might change it up because you don't want to keep running into them every game. And this obviously is only 2 rounds, so it does mean that there's not a whole lot of time to fix strategy. You got to be on top of it ASAP.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question. I mean, given how they only have essentially 2 rounds to really get those points on the board, it's very possible that if game 1 does not go their way, that we could potentially see some teams maybe switch it up and get a little bit more aggressive to try and catch up in points if they have to. You guys will also see down there at the bottom of the screen, we're going to be having a live ticker going. So if you see any of your favorite players, you'll be able to see how their score is going as the game is going and kind of keep up to date with all of that.
Yeah, obviously going to keep an eye out. Like I said, I'm interested to see what kind of teams come out on top. There's a lot of names I don't know in this list, and me and Trevor have done quite a few share of collegiate stuff for Fortnite with Play Versus and NACE last year. So, I mean, we've definitely seen a lot of these teams before, but there's a lot of people that aren't in this one that I saw in previous tournaments that like dominated. Someone like Control and Harsh. I'm sure if and when Trevor's power comes back, if I mention those names to him, he'll understand because those they're absolute powerhouse of a duo in their trio. Even they just stormed every game into like 5 games. They would win like 3 of them at least, and just kept killing everybody in late games. So yeah, the other teams lucky not have that going into this one, but there are still some very strong teams. Like I said, St. Clair Esports with 56 more points in 2nd place, Bay State Fortnite. So they are obviously the top dog going into this one. But 22 teams going to be the stack up going into this game, and yeah, it's going to be a timeless strategy of just waiting till the end game for now.
And that's another thing to take into consideration too, that you've mentioned a few times, how there are quite a few duos in here whose names you recognize, or whether that's individually or as a duo, and that's because you've seen them in previous events together, but obviously they've also seen each other in previous events together, so they can utilize that knowledge of each player and team's drop spots or rotations or anything like that to their advantage, and either be able to play around that knowledge or utilize it to potentially get themselves some more points on the board.
Yeah, they're probably going to utilize that to their information and try and figure out their strategy based on that. And obviously, for some of the new changes in Fortnite, crafting your inventory is kind of a thing that people like to do now. A lot of people like to use the new bows that have been semi-recently added in Fortnite, trying to create primal weapons in your inventory, give you a little bit stronger of a variety as far as your shotguns, SMGs go. And a lot of people, like I said, like to use those bows as well with some different variants on that one. So we have seen bows in the past, but that was a mythic item long ago from Caddy Corner that people like to use. So it is much different than now, or maybe not Caddy Corner, but the mythic bow used to be a very, very popular thing back in the day. But yeah, people are going to be trying to craft their way up and trying to get those late game kills. It is going to be a lot about the rotations going into this one, trying to see what happens. Going where, looking at the map where this is going to go, straight south is probably pretty rough for a lot of those teams that landed on the north side. Would have rather had a little bit more time to loot up and try and maybe go to other places close in nearby vicinity. But it is something that is going to be seen going forward. If that's going to happen, obviously you can't control the dictation of where the zone's going to go, where the storm's going to go. So kind of just have to go with what has worked before. And that's why maybe going for one of those far northeast, northwest locations sometimes pays out. Sometimes this is what happens.
All right. I mean, BR is all about that adaptability, right? So these teams are used to that. And as you can see, generally, a lot of these teams are spread out, but it looks like we do see K-Damps about to get into an engagement here with one of our other squads, and this would be a relatively early game engagement for both of these duos. I'm surprised they're deciding to take it, but they kind of don't have a choice here.
Yeah, they're in a weird spot of the map too. Very south, just straight on the edge of the map, kind of going into some early action. Luckily, they're not getting storm pushed. Nothing is really pushing them out of this situation, but they do want to get rid of this team. That way it makes the rotations quick. And man, K-Damps is putting on the clamps as he keeps on destroying some HP off of these two players. They're pushing towards. He obviously got all the shield off of both of them, I'm assuming. Now they're just trying to storm away, but he's going to knock one with a headshot. K-Damps is not missing so far. Gonna hit some shots on the boat, just gonna take some armor off that, but at least one kill confirmed down in the water over here, and he's gonna immediately try and chase that one up. 15 HP on this one, gotta be a little bit careful, but having that kill already and being able to have this opportunity, decent bit of damage goes through there as well. Him and his teammates should just be able to find an early duo kill in this action and get them a couple of points to start on the board. Nice builds coming up from K-Damps, brings him back into a one-on-one. Doesn't have the builds, doesn't have the edits just yet though, still just trying to find a way, putting cones up and around this build. Trying to use that harpoon gun as well to get through this wall, but just constant builds and nice shots coming up from the other player, not going down without a fight, and does just end up going down with a fight. But unfortunate, 1v2, not a whole lot he could have done in that situation. The absolute lasers coming out from K-Damps right there to just shoot both of their health bars completely out in the water to get to this path it's unfortunate. But seeing that next zone change, Misty Meadows is going to be the focus, the main focal point of this next zone. Not many big opportunities or big places in this next one, so it's going to make the rotations quite difficult for some people. Maybe see who decides to take the hold of Misty Meadows. Probably see a lot of people just box up around there though.
Yeah, and as I say that we're, a lot of the teams are spread out. We're not getting too many engagements. We've got yet another one here with 8 Gates trying to get some damage down onto the duo across from that. And these engagements are huge for all of these duos, able to get points on the board this early on, and not only those points, but be able to push out whatever duo was in their general vicinity and kind of maintain that spot for a little bit longer and hopefully get themselves some more points on the board when it comes to placement points is massive for both of these squads. We're just waiting this out, trying to see if he can get any angles on the enemy team across the way, but it looks like they're deciding to play it a little bit safe, make sure nobody's flying in on them, looking out for anybody in the sky. He does catch a player and is able to get some damage out on him. Will he be able to finish it though? Not 100% sure, but at least he's chipping away at some of those players who are rotating.
Yeah, those shots are hard to hit. It's definitely not something that's easy enough. So the fact that he got 50 HP off of a man flying around, doing his Mary Poppins dance, it's pretty impressive still to get some HP off. So obviously going to be going into that one with a decent bit of damage. I don't believe Storm Surge is on. Otherwise, even important damage like that helps you out in a case scenario with Storm Surge, and lets you be able to hide a little bit extra time if need be. But we do see that 8 Gates and his teammate Twig here trying to find this battle on top of Misty Meadows Mountain. Do see this opportunity here. He's going to use that Firefly bow to try and burn some wood down off of this building. Obviously try to get some damage there onto the opposing team. They're in a nice spot. They got good elevation and got the height on a lot of teams here. So if they get this team down, they are looking very strong as far as the next couple of rotations go, if it goes their way, to have the height advantage and have some very, very strong rotations going forward. But we'll see, of course. Fortnite doesn't like to give anybody the advantage. It would just take it away in an instant and move the opposite way. So now we're going to see 8 Gates pushing aggressively here. The other team is rotating out, though. Going to continue to use that Firefly blow to try and burn down the wooden builds there from the enemy side. Not getting any damage, but they're gonna dip out. They're gonna go actually into another team down there. So an aggressive engagement from this one leads to a second one down there. And Sky AU finds another Ashland team as Dr. Duke and Sky, both from Ashland, on 2 separate teams, find each other. And it's tough to see one of your teammates at your university down in the kill feed to you, but it's got to be done if you want to win the Fortnite finals here.
And I was just going to say, too, the longer they take to finish up this engagement, the more attention they're drawing to themselves as these teams do rotate in and the storm pushes in on everyone. So the time that they have to really take those pop shots is limited, and they started rotating away and instantly ran into another squad. And now this is a rough situation being pinched between these two duos, especially with 8 Gates having the height advantage, being able to look down on everything that's going on below them. I mean, right now, this is a really solid opportunity for 8 Gates and his duo to be able to get some extra points on the board with 4 people below them. I mean, at this point, I would just try to rotate away if possible.
Yeah, I am a very much hater of storm fights. I think it's the worst thing you can do in Fortnite. Just very dumb decision making if you don't have easy ways, especially to get out, or you don't have heals to at least recover some HP, like med kits, to get out if you do decide to take a storm fight. So sitting on the edge of this very storm is going to make your rotation a little bit weaker. Obviously, you're trying to secure some kills on the people below you, stop them from being able to make that same rotation, but it puts you in the same idea where, is it really worth to try and take this fight instead of trying to go for the placement? Try and situate yourself somewhere near Misty Meadows. As you can see again, that is where the zone rotates once more. But I feel like it's much easier to try and make this rotation out, maybe leave these two teams. Obviously, they're in a terrible spot down there, though. So Twig and 8 Gates do have a fantastic spot to kind of guard them and gate them from being able to come up this mountain. But yeah, they're going to have to make that decision quickly on where they want to go and where they decide to go. Looks like they might be deciding against it. But obviously, we know this team has to push them. So it might be a decision where they decide. Great, obviously, but I think in the end, it's going to cost you more than it's going to benefit you. As you have some observing problems there, we're going to get back into the game shortly as soon as we can. But, you know, Lauren's on the mic with me, a surprising time. Very, very excited. I hate Trevor, so it's nice to have somebody else.
I'm doing what I can, okay? And there was an opportunity there for 8 Gates and Twig to really gatekeep that team, and that's where that resource management is going to come in for a lot of these squads, because you had talked about it. There is the cap on the mats in the arena duos, and we saw them trying to re-up already while they were above the team and just kind of waiting for them to make that push. This is a solid opportunity for them to get some points on the board, and when we jump back into that game, we'll see how all of it plays out. But I think we're doing okay so far here, Troy.
I'd agree. I think you're doing fantastic. I mean, you're giving as much insight as Trevor would, so it's not like I'm really casting with somebody else. You look better, you sound better. It's just like there's only benefits from not casting with Trevor, I feel like. And internet, it sucks. He just sucks. I can go on a whole list. There's a whole rant that I have. I have an entire this entire sheet right here is all just notes about Trevor, and I hate him. So I just write those down every time I cast with him. But of course,
detailed.
We're just waiting for the game to come back as we get in game one. Let us know in chat, by the way, who you guys think is going to win this one. Obviously, 22 teams going into the action today. We talked a little bit about Ashland, talked a little bit about St. Clair. Fortnite team obviously coming in as the top dog, but there are a lot of very good teams in this one. I'm interested to see who has the kind of fan favorite in chat. It's always nice to see, because sometimes they're right. I mean, you have that pride, that bias, but sometimes they know something we don't, and that team has something hidden in preparation to go in the finals.
Absolutely, and there are obviously favorites here, whether that's from the people in chat or from you and Trevor. You know, our esteemed experts here for the day for our Fortnite Duos Spring Cup finals. I mean, I was not necessarily expecting the teams to be as ready to engage, and as I say that, we're able to get back into the game, checking in now with Swerved and Shift Thick. So let's see how this goes. Looks like they're looking out for any of the squads that are around them. The storm is pushing into the zone is very, very small at this point, so people are really going to start building their bases and just trying to be as safe as possible until they are forced into any of those engagements.
Hi guys.
Hey, buddy.
I was so excited for the game. Power went out again. I killed it.
Welcome back.
Surge.
Oh man, what a mix.
We're just going to mid game. We're now going to Misty Meadows. Battle actually as Gooder and K-Damps go into a mix once again. As we see, it's going to be a heavy focus on Misty Meadows. I was kind of wondering if this would be the case. We saw it shrinking slowly towards Misty. Not a whole lot of other places going to be even close, and now they're isolating themselves completely in this area around Misty Meadows. So having control of a building, or at least height around Misty Meadows, is going to be fantastic as far as this late game is concerned. Only 15 teams left as well. You want to be able to make sure to get into that top placement spot, and only a couple teams without their duo partner, which is not too bad going into this late game kind of scenario, going into the 5th zone here shortly. But yeah, Trevor, that's about as caught up as you're going to be going into this one. There's not an insane amount of stuff that's happened, just slowly shrinking the way towards Misty Meadows.
A few of these players have opted into some of these primal weapons, which is going to be a talking point that I would have had, and I don't know how much you covered, how much, so I'm just not going to touch on it unless you open up the subject of what
I talked about the primal bow a little bit. This the Firefly bow.
Yeah. So yeah, using those, and then obviously the one with the gas is helpful, especially when you get to these situations. People stacking up on top of each other, just get that AoE damage down. But seeing there's still twin players left alive, spectating Code and Will here. But because obviously I missed the drop, I don't know how many players actually started out here in Misty Meadows, but I imagine most of this is going to be looted. But a lot of raw resources around here can tap into.
Yeah, and I talk about this all the time. With it being an arena format, only having that 500 cap on each spot, you have to make sure you are playing correctly going into the late game. You want to make sure that you have the enough materials to keep moving on. As we see, Twig and 8 Gates are going to move themselves around, try and move their materials around as well. You see them bringing the brick up there with them, trying to make sure everything is their own. That's something we stress a lot about going into the end game as well. Make sure every single wall, even if it's placed by Fortnite, buy a house, take that wall down, become a home improvement instructor, and just take all the walls down, become the property brothers, and completely remove some walls, because you have to make sure your edits are going through. Here we have Goose and Bears fan 882334, a miracle team going to top 14 here. 25 players left in this action as Misty Meadows is now slowly going to get kicked out of the rotation. Couple drops on the map as well. Seeing one on the left and right side, but no teams actively going for it just yet. But this is when we starting to get into that kind of crazy action here, is when we get into the small area and people have to make their quick rotations.
Yeah, watching a lot of these just start to stack up. Of course, that moving zone in, you already see a handful of players that are in that next area. The 50-50 is half of it out of that playable range, but now that it will be moving, you'll see a lot of people on their rotation, and we'll see a lot of people getting attention paid to those that are late on the rotation. Everyone's going to be pointing directly at them, taking some shots, but everyone that's making their way over here, not any pre-existing structures really in this zone, so just kind of have to work with that open landscape. You see Iconic get one already down there. That's Goose going down. First elimination picked up for Iconic. 3 between the duo. A lot of shots
we talked about this earlier, as the format, with the 1 kill elimination, or 1 point per elimination, the 15 points for first. We kind of briefly talked about it earlier on, but you know, going into this late game kind of scenario, how do you think this affects the fights? Because we know so much is you just want placement points. You'd rather get kills at the end in the last fight if you need to, but you want those placement points in a situation like this, in a format like this where only 1 kill per elimination, or 1 point per elimination, I should say, and then 15 points for that first place up top. So it's quite a bit difference when you look at it.
Yeah, it would be curious to see, you know, what these players do coming into the end game, because you and I have seen our handful of meta shifts, and you know, where it just goes into, we're going full aggro, and just everybody. We've seen players that go with a full 4 stack of floppers, and that shot hit a full 170 with the bow on the jump shot. Not sure if he actually had eyes on the target, but that's a lot of damage just for free. And you see, that's what a lot of these players are breaking out, these legless types of shots across map. And I mean, Fortnite themselves told players, I hope you got your accuracy up with the bow, dust off those old, and that shows exactly why right there. A huge shot and a couple tags, rotations, getting the floors and the cones down, trying to keep out anyone else from directly below them. Someone else has a similar idea, going over towards Clock Tower. Back towards the lake, though, going to make things a little more interesting with a little more water involved.
Yeah, it's going to make the format a little bit more difficult as you try and find. A lot of people, as far as the late rotations go, they're just going to follow these exact builds, which is going to save them a lot of builds, just following other people's paths. But it obviously could put them in a scenario where you get something like where K-Damps is, someone is in front of you, they have a much better build and much better tunnel. It puts you in a bad situation on your rotation. That's exactly what just happened to him. He drops down. Gooder's going to go down as well, taking it down to 11 teams going into the 7th zone here. Obviously, just chaos to ensue in the last bit of this game, and obviously round 1 of 2, only 2 for today. So you have to be cracked right now to win this one. You have to make sure you're on top, because the extra points early would be huge.
Yeah, this is going to be a huge game for these teams that are still in. We're in the placement points mix right now. Top 12 is that cutoff. Laser beam going out right there. Lots of 35s and elimination picked up for Iconic, making it 4 now in this one. Using this bow still. And not going to be surprised at all to see a decent amount of players with this one crafting their own weapons. One of the changes recent made to Season 6 in Fortnite. Continuing these rotations over. It's this moving zone getting smaller and smaller and stacking up. It's going to go down here. And now down into this last top 15. This is right where Iconic and Royal want to be.
Yeah, it's just, they put themselves in a good situation where they still have a decent amount of match. I mean, you see 10 builds there for him. Sirius is going to go down this immediate effect as Will G and Swerve are going to get dropped. As you see a couple more kills picked up on the feed there. Sirius and Lasix. This is the one team I was talking about. This is that St. Clair Saints Fortnite team that went 56 points on top to get here in this first place. So this is the team to look out for. Not Iconic and Roy Payne, but I mean, that's another team to look out for, obviously.
Yeah.
Perksy, he's going to find a kill and a drop down on the Hector. Sirius as well. Now we're going to top 6 teams left.
Top 6 here. PWB going down. Sweetie is one claiming that. One elimination for Tech as trying to make a way over. Hear a lot more shotgun shots going off in the background. Duke goes down. Sweetie as well. Sirius and Lasix both picking up one. Another duo we said to watch out for. He's going to get a few smart damage, getting a huge upgrade to the shotgun pair. But Iconic's still on height, and we all know height reigns supreme. Both coming out, start to burn everything down. Pyromaniacs standing in the midst of their own chaos. Sirius picks one up on Texie down below. Shots going down straight center through all of this brick. Iconic with 5. Started spectating with 0 here.
Yeah.
Decent amount in this late game, so certainly stepping things up as time progresses.
2 teams
Sirius gonna
left.
pick one up for Sirius here. Teammate is down, and it is a 2v1 with Sirius down below and the 2 up top between Royal Pain and Iconic.
This is that St. Clair team I was talking about. Sirius and Lasix, that team in first place is going into this, trying to keep that momentum to try and win out the first game. But of course, Roy and his teammate are not going to stop that from happening. His first win goes over to Twig, goes over to RMC Fortnite, and 8 gates actually. Or sorry, the kill went over to them,
Yeah.
but Roy Payne and Iconic take the win. It was very, very awkward. They just obviously never got to him in the end game scenario, but yeah, that goes over to Roy and his teammate. Obviously, a fantastic win from them to be able to clutch that out, because I was hyping them up, Sirius and Lasix, going into that, especially going into this tournament in general, is that they're a top team for a reason. 56 points is quite a spread, too.
Yeah, a huge performance to get here, to qualify here, and still a little heartbreaking to just see a still image of me, because I promise I look just as good, if not better, than Troy. I trust for the occasion.
Listen, that's not an achievement.
Yeah, well, okay, well, yeah, you gotta put yourself down like that, man. Come on.
I gotta do it before you do.
Yeah, you're right. But either way, height reigns supreme, and that's the thing that's been through
I'm
in
6'4",
Fortnite for years. And, well, in Fortnite, height reigns supreme. You're still a walking L, but someday you'll get there, buddy.
Okay.
You'll grow up big and tall and strong. But
no, you're right.
Now for Royal Pain and Iconic, I mean, and as I said, you started with Iconic there, 0 eliminations, ends up getting 5 there, 7 between the duo plus the Victory Royale, the 15 points on that. So a 22-point round, that's a great start for that. I imagine they're going to want to rinse and repeat.
Yeah, and like you said, we're going on to Iconic. When we first spectated him going to the end game, had 0 kills, and then suddenly pops up with 7. Has a fantastic late game rotation, able to rotate first as well to get a couple of kills on his rotation. That's always really important, to be able to tunnel your way out and to try and get ahead of other teams. That way you can stop and drop at one point, turn around, try and take some shots at other people trying to follow you, and then easily take yourself some kills. And that's exactly what we saw Iconic and his teammate Roy able to do in the end game scenario here. Just like this is where K-Damps went down, I believe. It was a nice kill. We obviously saw K-Damps with a laser earlier on in the player on the team on the boat. Just absolutely not missing a shot. But yeah, this is Iconic and Roy played this fantastic. Like you said, height advantage heavily in their favor. Easy for them to just control it, especially when they have the accuracy like that with the scars in their hands. Very, very nice of them to be able to take that one down and take a win. And like you said, 22 points in a 2-round format with the first place being 15 points. Like, obviously, you have to look at Lasik and his teammate Sirius as far as they might be the second closest team, because they finished second, I believe, and had a decent amount of kills. So if you want to see any other team besides Roy and his teammate for Ontario Tech Esports, you have to see them go down early.
Yeah, I think Sirius and Lasix picking up 7 or 8 eliminations probably in the second place. So they're only 3 or 4 points behind, and the difference maker of it is the fact that it is just only those 2 rounds. So going to certainly have to perform better than, obviously, the opponents that just won. And it has now set the bar very high for the rest of this lobby, because that is going to be very difficult for a lot of these players to do. And I like the usage there towards the end of those cards you're talking about because their accuracy just pinpoint, as well as the pure destructive power of these primal bow. And whether it be with the explosive ones lighting everything on fire, or whether it be with the gas and just creating that AoE. And it's so hard to rotate through something when the whole structure is just a gas cloud after spanning out all of those arrows. And it's a resource that's not a rarity. Like, people can pick up those arrows pretty frequently, and they're never gonna run out. So you don't have to worry about it, and you can just hold on to that the whole time, make it even better, and put yourself in a power position.
Right, yeah, it's a good point, and obviously why the importance of that was talked about. Like you said, even Fortnite was like, you better get accurate with these bows because they can come in handy going to late game scenario, and that's exactly what we saw from the Firefly bow that came out from Iconic. He was able to stop so many builds and destroy so many builds and try and do so much, and he still had like 20 shots. Like, he had so many shots to continue going with it. And obviously, going to late game, most people are gonna have used their steel and their brick, or their metal and their brick by the time we get into the 7th and maybe 8th zone. So it's going to be just wood pretty much from there on out, because what's the easiest material to collect when you go into late game scenarios? Usually there's trees around, some extra, you're just trying to get extra materials, you're just going around and getting it. It's usually wood. So that is where that Firefly bow comes in handy going into those kind of late game scenarios. But of course, that's game 1 of game 2, or of 2 rounds done so far. So we have one more game to go for the Fortnite Duo Spring Cup Finals. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back after a break.
Hi, I'm Darian from eHire. I'm an IT recruiter here. Today we're going to be talking about things to consider before accepting a written offer. First of all, when it comes to total package, it's important to think about not just base salary. There's a lot of ancillary benefits that can come with a job offer. Some of those things include equity in a company, daycare compensation benefits, PTO, cost of benefits. These are all really important things to consider. As well, it's important to chat with the people in your lives that are going to be part of this decision-making process. So thinking about those trusted advisors early, what they may think about this job change, how it'll affect your commute, how it'll affect your work hours and your free time. So that could be your spouse, that could be a loved one, that could be your parents, depending on who is important in this process. The last thing to think about is benefits as well. So healthcare benefits are really important. You want to make sure that if there is a lapse in the time that your benefits kick in between when you start your new position and end your last position, that you're all sorted when it comes to any appointments that you may need.
4 hours to go. Hey everyone, welcome back to the game as we get back to round 2, of course, of the Fortnite Duo Spring Cup Finals. My name's Troy Pipcast Welling. Next to me, I did it. Oh,
No.
I thought I did it right for once too. I was so excited.
He's
Next
so
to me,
confident.
Trevor Confused Caribou McNeil, and we're back for round 2, of course, as we get this game underway. Of course, with a dominating performance in game number 1, a 22-point victory to come through for our Ontario Tech Esports, as Roy Payne and Iconic get a nice win under their belt, and then they come in a close second, St. Clair with Sirius and LASIK, the top team going into this. So expecting them to, I wouldn't even say to bounce back in game 2 because they got second and had a decent amount of kills, but obviously they want to try and hunt down for that first place. And if you're one of the teams in this game, you want to hunt that Ontario Tech team down so that you have a chance to be able to take this tournament down.
Yeah, and because of the fact that, these lobbies aren't necessarily full, you have a lot more options of where you can go and not be contested on the drop. So
Right.
leaving that spinning is, I think, better for a lot of these. And if you do happen to just know where the other ones are going, everyone can call brief and let you know. If you want to win, you got to kill the team on top. Do it before placement points kick in.
Yeah, it's true. Obviously, when you get to that scenario, it obviously is pretty rough. When that team makes it to the late game of game number 2, it's pretty hard for other people to get to match their points. So that is where we're going to be seeing. But let's see where the first zone is going to be as the bus goes pretty directly north, east to west. And we'll see where other teams decide to go as well. We saw a lot of people dropping on the north side and the zone just not favoring them at all. Very obviously went all the way south to Misty Meadows, so that you're seeing a couple pings on the map, seeing where people are deciding to go. Pleasant Park getting a little bit of favoritism there. Shocking, no one's going to Coral Castle. Such a shame.
Oh, I know.
So I can't
Bummer.
believe it. Wow.
Shucks.
Unfortunate, but we do have a fight potentially here early in Lazy Lake.
Already there with the shot he picked up. A quick 2-tap. Hector right there is going to get Slight down. One of the players that I said I'd keep an eye on because that team has been around the block more than a couple of times. But Slight finding a very quick exit here in the opening round, or the opening drop.
We see Sipe and Smirkin trying to loot up in Pleasant Park. It looks like they're the only ones here potentially, but Lazy Lake still back and forth a little bit with a couple of teams as they try and see what's going on there. Looking over at one of the Ashland teams, Sky and Detrata ended up looking and fighting against another Ashland team in the first game. That was the Ashland Purple team with Sweetle and Dr. Duke. Ashland Clear is Detrata and Sky AU. So those teams went up against each other. Seeing the first zone, though, it is going to be a very southeastern side of the map. And, I mean, there's quite a bit of action on that side of the map still. So got a couple big name places. Obviously, the Spire being included in that in the center. See if people decide to make shift their way towards there or make shift some rifles. Obviously, in the meantime, as you see Smirkin dropping that. But yeah, the Fortnite crafting system, something very important, very new into this scene, helping people get to their inventory they want earlier and faster, I guess, and allowing them kind of a situational changes as far as the bows are concerned, and obviously being able to make shotguns and improvements on primal stuff.
Yeah.
But do you think the advantage of having the ability to craft new weapons like that, and obviously going towards the bows, is an improvement for inventories going later in the game?
I think it's certainly something that a lot of these players, I don't know if I'd call it improvement so
Yeah.
much as a translation. I think in a transitive property, like, there's something that you can utilize. I think the bow's better because now you have an offensive threat as well.
Right.
Because of the fact that you can get significantly more damage off, versus something like the old Firefly jars, where you just literally light the team on fire and that's it. Hector, again, is just showcasing with the and making Northwood, honestly, respect the power of Hector. I mean, you got him outside yelling at the gates, screaming for Hector. This time around, he went the other way. Brad, it's going down.
Yeah, for some reason, as soon as you said that, I just pictured the "Let Me In" meme, the gif of just I forgot his name, Eric Andre, just shaking the fence like "Let me in," and that's what Hector was waiting to do, just let me in, and
Now we're in
takes
Steve
out
Troy.
an easy team. As we see, 8 Gates and Twigs going to be trying to collect some materials and make their way up towards their next rotation. They are still in the zones. They have plenty of time to keep looting up around Misty Meadows. There is another team close by, though, so got to be careful on that. You are going to see that craft into an upgrade on the shotgun, though, for 8 Gates here. Twig with a decent inventory already, though. Has a couple of floppers, a slurpfish, switching those out for the minis, but has that Firefly bow in the inventory as well. We saw how effective that was for Iconic last game. So we'll see if it'll be just as iconic this game. As Twig and 8 Gates try and make the rotation. They obviously know there was a team on this side of Misty Meadows. We can see now that that team is rotating out. So not going to find any action now unless they find them on their rotation going forward. But this would be the best time to get materials, set yourself up for the late game, as most teams would be doing right now, especially in a placement-heavy format. They do notice that team is going to be over there, though, so they are going to play that aggression and try and play this push. I think they got a good enough inventory to do so as well.
Yeah.
Twig and 8 Gate's going to try and make this push, especially with 8 Gates just recently being able to upgrade that shotgun.
Yeah, this is a really solid early game loadout right now. You see them up here lurking. The hunters are hunting. You hear the howl of the wolves next, so they're going to have to take care of that first. You see them lighting the structure on pop shot, but now we start to elevate. The back being a little safe as that does burn down. Gonna have to continue to rebuild that, but is only going to continue to use more and more resources, and hoping this other duo has farmed up enough mats right now that they can at least stifle this pressure being applied from 8 Gates and Twig right now. But as they've gone up, they're trying to take superiority on height. The window coming through, gonna get the shot with the bow through that and just continue to spray these walls while 8 Gates is up top. On the other side, switch back, gonna get a staircase in between, try to get the wall out and sync that up his teammate. Not done so just yet, but shots in between. Some more challenges here. More cones up. They have yet to find any direct target in front of them. But this split as to which direction they're gonna go between these two teams. Now gonna get the one. He's gonna be able to find the drop there, so Dam's gonna go down again. Now look, you hear the shots on the backside. Gonna be taking this from 2 angles one more time. Try to break this wall, get the staircase up. He's gonna chase down 71 hit. Looking for the top side. Shot's not gonna connect that time around. And look for the edge. They're so close. They just gotta get that last one. Hasn't had enough time to heal. Hasn't got any minis off. Haven't had those sound cues just yet. Need to hop up and around. War of attrition at this point. Finally gonna get it down. Twig's gonna get, and the second one picked up.
Nice little pickup of early eliminations and early points there to get them on the board for game number 2. As we see the rotation once again, still going to be in that first zone. 2.5 minutes, so plenty of time for these teams to make rotation. As we look at the championship team, returning champions of game number 1, Roy L. Payne and Iconic here. Going to be trying and laser beaming towards Slurpy Swamp. See if any shots of those do connect. You see the double assault rifle inventory for Royal Payne. Does take a little bit. Now I'm starting to understand it might be Royal Payne. And yes. Okay, yeah. So Royal Payne and his teammate going to be moving forward here for Iconic and Royal Payne, as we see for the finals. Obviously, with 1 game left, someone has to make a move on these two. That's your team you want to take down to try and take this series, of course. And
yeah,
what do you think is going to be the way to do that? Because I mean, they're playing pretty passively. We obviously saw them get to late game pretty easily. Their late game rotations were fantastic. I guess it's less so of what can other people do to what's their mistake going to be, I guess, going forward in this one. It could be maybe a lapse of judgment on rotations. Like here, you have not a whole lot of time to rotate over, and you have a pretty rough rotation, so it could be something like that.
Yeah, I think what they're doing right now is actually pretty conservative and pretty smart, because exactly like I said, you got to find these teams that are at the top, the one that won, as well as the team that ended up getting second place, and the one that we were watching there for Saint F. What's the words? I'm thinking to my other. I just came from it. St. Clair. That's
St. Clair. I was
Sirius
like,
and
I was
Lasix.
saying where we're going with this. Yeah, St. Clair.
Sirius and Lasix. Those are the 2 teams that you have to kind of keep an eye out for and like try to watch the feed for as this game progresses. And I think the fact that the team that ended up winning is so far off to the west, virtually by themselves, playing for that safety net. You're already in the lead. Don't blow it. And that's a good strategy here.
Yeah, it's true. Just don't make any mistakes, and you should be able to hold on to that going out of this 2-game series here for the Fortnite Duo Spring Cup Finals, of course. Back into game number 2. Game 1, single-handedly, a very, very close matchup in the end, but ended up being in a 1v2 where we saw Lasix couldn't clutch up. Or I believe it was Sirius last left alive for that team against the duo format of Ontario Tech Esports, who was Royal Payne and Iconic. So obviously game 1 went their way, 22 points handed to them. And that's why we've been talking about it so much. Why, if any other teams in this one, if any people, fans any fans of these teams in this one, they want to see that team go down first, because obviously 22 points is enough in 2 games to maybe win you the whole series. But in 1 game alone, if they get extra points on top of that, this game, placement and eliminations, it's gonna be hard to catch them.
Certainly have set the bar very high here between these two, especially those 2 duos. But as we get closer and closer towards later game, second, third zones coming up, start to see maybe a few little pop shots out here in these open fields as rotations come in.
I'm wondering where Smirkin and Cypher are going to come through from here, because they still have to make their rotation towards that southeastern part of the map. But there are quite a few teams around this area for some reason, also trying to make sure their rotations are safe. So if Smirkin goes around this, might see one of those teams, but probably wants to regroup with his teammate Cype, try and go forward towards that Lazy Lake Retail Row area. And you're only seeing 3 teams max in the current zone right now. That is kind of scary for a lot of teams rotating in, because it might be a mess. Nice little epic chest here to come through, and gets a decent amount of loot for one of the Ashland teams there. Dr. Duke and Sweetle already had a good fight in game number 1, trying to translate that to number 2. But the clump of teams in that area and nobody in the actual zone itself is very interesting to me. A lot of teams just trying to go for the fights now, knowing that if you weren't one of those top teams in the game 1, you have to maybe go aggressive here to get some kills in game 2.
You got to find some adjustments to make here in this one. See, Sight and Smirk seem to have got themselves on top of a +1 in this build. Going to take this tree out of there, get that out of the equation for this build battle. Or rather, destruction battle, if they have to go down and through this building to try to find this other team. Going to replace a lot of these walls as well. Waiting to see if there's going to be any shots coming out, trying to find a challenge. For the time being, not going to find a whole lot. Finally, do see some shots come in, now recognizing that's from the backside, so going to have to put a wall and a staircase up, keep yourself safe. But with these small little collections of duos that are starting to slowly pile up as these rotations come in, the circle gets smaller. A few pop shots here and there, but no real damage or threat traded.
Yeah, nothing crazy, but still in the vicinity here, and then not kind of in the vicinity of their next rotation, not too far off of Lazy Lake, but not exactly the easiest rotation, and the safest rotation is straight into Lazy Lake. That's their only kind of direct rotation that they have, is to see if anyone in Lazy Lake is going to be looking out towards them. If I was one of those teams in Lazy Lake, I think this is free kills. You just have to kind of storm guard and edge camp the next storm to try and stop these teams from rotating in late. Sype is immediately going to find the action. It does find one of the players in this duo. He's going to try and play it aggressive, too.
Try to go right through it. They trade up. Smirk is actually going to come in from the other side to secure that one. So good split teamwork right there, just to put the pressure on from one side. Think you're safe everywhere else, and Smirk's going to come in from up top, pick one up.
Now, rotation once again, a minute left on this one, as Zone 3 starts to close in on the southeast side of the map. Lazy Lake, one of those main concerns. A lot of teams now rotating into Lazy Lake, and there's still plenty of teams to rotate in. I mean, that's obviously, there's 4 teams there. Nice Rift is going to put this team in a very, very good spot, though, because obviously you might get stuck on Lazy Lake depending where the next zone goes. If it goes somewhere around these mountains, you are not in a safe spot. So that Rift is going to help them out immensely, try and rotate, change their rotation pattern, change their path. They are getting shot a little bit, but it doesn't look like either one of them took too much damage. So they're going to situate themselves on top of these snowy mountains here and try and just survive from that point. Swerved and Shift are going to try and do a little bit of late rotation on their way over, try and just survive here as they rotate near Lazy Lake as well. Now almost all teams finalizing themselves in the zone. Iconic and Royal Pain, the top team we saw from last game. Very late rotation. So you can see this team is playing passively. I mean, too passively, I don't know, but they're still rotating late enough to where they are taking a lot of storm damage because they just don't want to get caught. They want to make sure they continue their lead from game 1.
Yeah, and I think that's just a little bit of that hiccup, you know, on the rotation is like as soon as that zone hits, all of a sudden you go from the 1 tick to 2. And I mean, at least fortunate that there's that fire that's right there is going to be able to get some health back. But as you said, final zones starting to go around these elevation changes in this mountainous region is going to make things pretty difficult looking to see where they go. So material management is going to become a huge factor here for these players as they get into these late game and these smaller and smaller circles.
Firefly bow going to come through once again in effect for Twig here. Trying to see if he can use it. Obviously, another team right now, they're in a bad spot now that they've realized this. Twig and immediately pings that team above them, realizes they're in a lot of danger because they already pissed off the other team in front of them. Now they have the team above them that is probably looking in the same direction towards them. You see Twig trying to set the car aflame from a distance. Couldn't exactly do so. Looks like they just hopped out of it and are going to situate themselves on top of that mountain. Luckily enough for Twig and his teammate 8 Gates, it doesn't seem like that team is interested in pushing them from the height advantage. Obviously, already being in the zone, they don't really want to risk it either. But they are not in the greatest spot. They are probably the team most at harm here due to where they're at. You just saw one of those 2 players drop down, all of his loot sliding away into that duo. So maybe the decision of pushing that one. But there's just going to be a whole lot of teams rotating into this area. It's a very dangerous spot to put yourself in.
68 picked up there with that bow to hit, but you see from 2 different directions, this team on the mountainside is under fire.
Yeah.
So a lot of pressure on, certainly gonna make it. So
legendary Firefly blow. Firefly blow.
Don't really want to move from where they're at, but yeah, this. I mean, we expected to see a good amount of these primal weapons. You see the shotty as well as this legendary bow. It's gonna be doing a lot to say a lot in this late stage of this game. A lot of structure is going to be unsafe because the fact you have so many people that have this Firefly bow that is going to basically just burn everything to the ground. So as soon as you have something built up, well, it's not going to last very long. Give it a couple of ticks of fire and see where that goes. You see some damage being taken by Ski Pot. Find himself in a battle. Shotgun shot is going to connect, and that's going to get him down. Chef Boyardee, the teammate, the +1 on the side, going to try to find the trade. It's 78 on the shield. Can't get the finish, and is going to get taken out there. Peak 1x to take both of them down, and a few ticks of storm damage on the back end, but that's the first 2, and a very good 2 for Peak.
Yeah, gets himself safely in the next one as well. Obviously doing this without his teammate. Kind of the same situation that happened in game number 1. Unfortunately, Newberry got caught in game number 1. Same situation here, it looks like, as Peak tries to control this one. That fire is going to burn through his wood, though, so he's going to start building up with brick around him. Make sure he situates himself. And he's obviously still on the edge. Not too far of a rotation here, it looks like. But we'll see what's going to be the plan here for Armni Parzival and his teammate.
Now, he takes some pop shots. Teammate is pressuring down there around the tree. A pop shot's going to hit 73. Now let's see if they can try to find anything more. Bayway is getting up close and personal. Is going to get the 1-2. Bayway getting the first knock already. Caught him in act of revive.
Upgrades,
so that is
people.
The first 2 for Bayway, and absolutely everything you could ever want and more. A fire sale around the tree.
Man, what a blessing fire sale is whenever you see that pop up in Call of Duty. It's just being able $10 hits on the machine. You're feeding my gambling addiction. Let me just try and get some better guns for a very cheap cost. You know how to get me in. But as this one goes through, like you said, a very, very nice inventory swap, basically. Still plenty of good guns on the ground, too, for his teammate if they want to switch that up. Swerved and Thick playing rather passively, but a kill for both of them. So they did take down a duo team so far. 15 teams left, 28 people. So a couple teams missed out on their duo partners. Unfortunately, we saw Peak, one of them, that was rotating into this last one south of Caddy Corner. Still chilling there. Waiting and playing that late rotation. Seed's going to get dropped from his build, and Yin Yang going to try and help him out with that bow. You can see the effectiveness of the bow, which is a lot of what a lot of people like hunting rifles back in the day. Those bolt actions, being able to just take quick shots and then immediately hide is such an advantage in a game like this, where you just that sliver of their head peeks over a stair, suddenly you get 100 damage, you're happy.
Yeah, we saw one last game, the quick hit for 170, and
yeah,
you know, being able to have that reliability of very quick and safe damage output is huge for this. You see a few teams that are starting to stack up inside these buildings, where being one of them has someone nearby. Shift had been getting a few shots, so going to use this time to get that full pot off, back up to the full 200. See here, taking a little bit of damage. Look for where shotgun shots come out. Is going to get a small tag there. Nothing trade in return. Now going to go try to find something on the aggressive, but shots coming from the high side. Have to keep a wall up on both sides of them, and someone else is up close first. Right up top, they're going to get a good flick there. They're trying to trade back. Shield is going to be broken on the other side. So Shift gets a couple of good shots to connect. Ty is keeping it conservative and safe inside this box, but now with this little bit of a breather.
Next rotation is rough for
yeah,
a lot of these teams.
uphill.
There's 2 mountains in the way of 5 or 6 teams in the south near Caddy Corner. to get over that first mountain, you're like, cool, I'm safe. Then you got to get over another one, and where a lot of teams are going to be sitting on the edge of that mountain. You're seeing just right now the teams are going to have to use a lot of materials to rotate themselves up these mountains and try and maneuver themselves. And if it goes backwards, we've seen this happen before, where it goes up and down a mountain repeatedly, and you just don't have the materials. So you just sit at the bottom and hope for the best, or you just end up dying because you just can't move. I mean, you're stuck at the bottom of the mountain. You see right there, it looks like Ty didn't have any materials. Perksy's going to drop a little bit for him, but already seeing a shrinkage of materials, a shortage of materials for a couple of these teams. They're trying to situate themselves near and around this mountain. Seemingly going to be the play for a couple of these teams is just sit on the mountain, not go too far down, just in case they do have to make that rotation. I like this play. Royal Pain and Iconic, the team 1 victors, are going to be trying to continue their streak. I think they're going to try and get at least some extra points here just to secure themselves. But we know the strength of the St. Clair Esports team, the Fortnite squad, that they have the chance to still take this game down, obviously being first overall going into this. So they still have some kills on the back. But look at the heat map of what's going on in the bottom right. It is all in one area.
Just line them up right now, stack them up, and everything on fire in between as well. Elevation not going to be putting those flames out. Saw a few exchanges down there. We are one team away from placing points kicking in after Iconic picks up the first one there. So next seconds, we're going to find out how this pays off for everyone else as we're going to start moving. So the fact that a lot of those people down below aren't going to have to go a whole lot. Not going to get taken down, as well as teammate. Sky's going to be dropped there in the middle as well. So Laser gets dropped. That's a +2 here for Detrata. And Sky is going to eventually get picked up here. You hear the steps and the shots close by, but plenty of time to get this revive off, get a little bit of healing done before this circle starts to move.
And with the 6 zone circling in, and another really rough rotation across a river from this valley for a lot of these teams, this game's not being nice to them, and I never expected it to be. We've seen the end games of some of these circles have just been rough for teams, having to rotate in and around mountains, near and above water. It's just always a struggle, but now you're seeing the rotation from Sky and his teammate not losing each other throughout all that, surprisingly, able to stick together and make a very good tunnel. Sky's got to be careful, obviously, with only 30 health. That's huge, though. That kill brings him up to 80.
Yeah.
And now they're going to keep pushing together.
Able to get the siphon out of that, and, you know, it does have a decent amount of materials for picking up from that one, so Detrata helping out. 4 and 3 between these two. Gonna take their attention top side. Gotta get some shots off. Did hit 35.
Wouldn't be shocked if that's Iconic and Royal Pain up there, to be honest.
Probably, yeah. But, don't know what reigns supreme. Royal Pain's gonna get one, thanks with a little assist from Storm. A huge 150 plus from Sky.
Sky gets revenge.
And gonna get the siphon to keep you alive as you rotate with a little bit of storm damage. That's gonna be duked down. Beautiful shotgun shot there, connecting, and another one. So 5 now for Sky, and this duo is rolling.
He just took out another Ashland team in a blink of an eye. Skyland's like, I know we're homies. I know I see you guys at game days when we play board games together, but not today. You are enemies. And we obviously saw Dr. Duke took down Sky in the first game. So that is a good bit of revenge right there on the couple of Ashland teams, as we see Sky and Detrata, though. They are trying to win everything right now. Like, they have 9 kills already. There's 8 teams left. They're already top 5. Sky with another kill there brings it up to 10. That's 10 points in elimination solo.
Yep.
This is getting a little bit scary. You still see Iconic is alive, though, and killing, though. So it's still the chance that this might be close finals.
And Sirius and Lasix both still alive as well. That name just popped up in the feed. So you know that these two teams that made it to the final 2 last game
all 6 alive,
find
too.
themselves here. This is a 2v2v2. Sky with lasering and tons of damage through the small opening. He's going to put a lot of pressure here on this team right next to them. He's not going to connect. He's going to get tagged from behind, losing all the shields. Down to 92 health now. Teammate's going to be taking some shots from Detrata, trying to relieve some pressure here. Trying to fight a war on 2 fronts, get some shot. Does get the knock onto Lasix. So somewhere enough damage came through. Potentially have a 2v2v1 coming up, unless that revive does finally come through. It will not be easy. So it is going to get taken out. Lasix dropped. Now it's just the one left alone. Iconic is going to get dropped. Sirius picks that one up. Sky going to be up close and personal. Shotgun shots to connect. And is going to get one onto Royal Pain. Iconic as well. So Detrata and Sky pick up the win. 13 eliminations. The 2 that got 1-2 last game get 2-3 this time with a huge performance from this duo. What a way to end game 2.
That is a monstrous performance from all three of those teams. Back-to-back first, second, or third for Sirius and Lasix, and the other team, Royal Pain and his teammate, being able to clutch up to get some very important placement points in the end. And obviously, huge on Sky and Detroit to be able to just go on a tear in that end game to get 13 eliminations at the end of that. 13 on top of the 15, 28 points to be handed over to them in game number 2. So depending on how they did in game 1, like, this is no, if it was the case of like Iconics versus, you know, the St. Clair team, it's like, all right, you know, maybe this is done and wrapped if they win this back-to-back games. But then that Ashland team comes out of nowhere, and Sky and Detroit just absolutely pop off, and it's going to be hard to tell who's going to be the winner here.
Yeah, getting 3 of those last 4 eliminations at the end of the game was huge in the 2v2v2. So being able to pick that up, just adding more to the total, plus the win. I mean, you're getting another 6 points off of the placement, plus the 6 points or 3 points off the eliminations is a huge accent to where you're already at. And the fact that I don't know which of the other teams ended up picking up that last elimination. There's one that went to either the second place team or the first place team from game number 1. So depending where that goes, that could actually make even more of a difference, because that could be like a 1 point difference between first, second, or third place.
Yeah, I mean, it really could. And that, I was not expecting that kind of a finish. I was more so expecting it. I really was the similar top dogs showing up again with St. Clair Esports and obviously the Ontario Tech team just coming back up in the top 3 spots once again. But that Ashland team throwing a wrench in the mix. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge Sky and his teammate, because as far as that finals goes, nobody could have dodged them in that second game. They just were on a tear, as like I said, in that last bit of the late game. So really good rotations from them. No surprise though to see the other 2 teams up in the top 3, as they played the exact same way, and it still worked out for them. They still got late game kills. They still played rather passively leading up to that point. And that's where you see, I mean, you saw Iconic in the kill feed plenty of times in the end game. That's where exactly what you saw in the last game. Playing the exact same way, taking all of his eliminations in the end game. And that's how a lot of people win tournaments in formats like this, is knowing how to play end game well.
Yeah, and being able to get to that end game is one of the biggest portions of this. I mean, we saw them and how far off to the west side of the map they dropped. You know, they're by themselves. There's nobody else out there. There's no risk whatsoever of them getting griefed or anybody challenging their drop or trying to, you know, get picked off in the middle of a rotation. So they, you know, the zone rotation, as it goes all the way to the east side, I think even fares better for that duo, because everyone else making that rotation over is not really going to be looking at the far west. So they're going to be one of the last ones in. You can pretty much rely on the fact that nobody's behind them. And that's exactly what we saw. Granted, they're taking some storm damage from it, you know, when we come down to the third zone, but they're swimming in the river. There's nobody else around them. There's no chance of getting dropped. So they played it safe. They played it smart. It's only a matter of time before we see exactly how that did pan out for them at the end.
Yeah, realistically, I mean, you can't put it on them. I mean, they played extremely well both games, and you know, people can flame them, people yell all they want, but if you know how to play a difference, and we talked about this earlier, that it's always what happens in the format is gonna dictate how you play in a tournament. Usually Fortnite has a couple different formats as far as how many points a kill is, how much placement is, and usually that's going to be your determination on, should I play this really aggressive, should I try and go quick in this tournament and try and just keep changing it up. But in a 2-round 1 kill or 1 point per elimination format, it's like you have to make sure you're playing up to your standards, because if you make any slight mistakes going into that late game or trying to get to the late game, suddenly you only have 1 more game to do so to try and fix your points. So that's why I think it's so important that they were able to stay consistent in those 2 games. To, yes, they did play passively, but that late game they just clamped down on people and made it look easy from the height advantage.
Yeah, and just start this one out, to build a lead is the hardest thing. And to branch back to yesterday, you know, the points of conversation we had about winning in Madden. You get ahead early, and then you hold on to the lead. And that's exactly what we saw them do. They got ahead early. All they had to do was hold on to the lead. Now, whether that was done or not, well, I don't know. That's who's to say. We'll find out eventually. But on the other side of it, you look at Sirius and Lasix, who also played very well. They come in with a surmountable lead that is phenomenal, that they built that up going into this finals of the Duo Spring Cup, and they continue to play very well. So the sense that here you are in late game, they get second place and either a second or a third in the second game, I mean, talk about consistency and holding on to your lead. They've met the standard as well.
Yeah, and now we get to see what's going to happen as far as this goes. And obviously, we knew going into this that St. Clair Esports had a 56-point differential on top of everybody. So going into this was they were already looking to stick into that first place role anyways. But with a couple of fantastic finishes in top 3, still being able to keep that repetitive performance, trying to see if they can continue that, I guess, into today's performance, try and see if they can uphold their own standards here going forward. But we saw Detrata and Sky absolutely popping off in a couple of these games. And this is where it got a little dangerous here in game number 2. You saw Sky got downed. It was just Detrata left. And then Sky said, all right, thanks for reviving me. I'm going to Thanos snap the lobby now and try and eliminate everybody in my path. So it was a very impressive tear through the mix. And I was actually talking with Lauren earlier when your power went out, unfortunately. The collegiate scene in Fortnite is fantastic. And I was talking about players like Control and Harsh and those kind of teams. And like those guys weren't in this tournament. But to showcase still how much skill there is in the collegiate scene, even with some teams that we haven't seen before, it's awesome to see.
Yeah, being able to see them play consistently and seeing a lot of these repeated names back and forth. And one of the repeated names that we've also seen all weekend long is our captain, the captain.
I'll salute for you.
I'm saluting in spirit. You just can't tell.
Well, if I can't see it, then it's not true, and it never happened. So, all right, guys, that was some quality of Fortnite there to wrap up the entire weekend. Honestly,
yeah.
Now that everything's coming to a close, we did get to see a couple of highlights there towards the end. Were there any plays from those last 2 matches that stood out to you guys?
As far as the first game goes, I just like the height advantage performance from Iconics and Ropain. Just be able to hold that ground the entire time, eliminate all the teams trying to push up against them. It's not like a specific moment, but the fact that they held height that well and were able to get kills while rotating is very important. And I think that's what led to them taking that first game down. So I think that's kind of like my highlight moment in those couple of games was once you're going to be able to get height advantage, to be able to control it's very difficult, and they did it very well.
I'm gonna bounce
back.
What
about you, Trevor?
I'm gonna bounce back to something that you touched on in the sense of looking at what Detrata and Sky did, and you know, being down, being knocked, and then get picked back up, and then go on an absolute banana tear to just destroy the rest of the lobby. Ends up getting the victory, 9 eliminations, phenomenal bounce back, phenomenal execution.
Yeah, I mean, those were some good games. I'm glad that's what we got to end on. I'm glad we got to close out the day and the weekend with you guys back here. Okay, we were the trio, so it's nice to be able to wrap it all up.
There was quite a bit of us throughout this weekend.
Let me know if anybody finds my internet because I'm still searching for it.
You got it. Three upload. Spare change.
Well, you know what? You're gonna have all the time to go figure it out because that is the end of our show. It is very unfortunately time for me to say goodbye to you two. So thank you so much for joining us back for our final game of the day of the weekend. You guys crushed it the entire time.
You too, always. It's no surprise. It's happy, always happy to be on the mic with you, not Trevor. So I'm really happy that we got to be able to do this, and it was a fun show. It was all around. I just had a good time. We were able to do so much, and Trevor and I were able to keep our voices alive. It's the most important thing going into today. So I mean, I'm just happy to be here as usual. But of course, great job to Lauren and I guess Trevor.
Thanks, I guess.
All right, bye guys. Okay, guys, it is now your final opportunity to be reminded of our giveaways, okay? This is the last time I'm going to be able to tell you, so do not forget. We've got 2 giveaways running, one on social media at Skillshot Media on Twitter. You can get all of the information on how to enter on their Twitter over there, and the winner will be pulled tomorrow, Monday, April 26th. Our second giveaway is for you guys in chat right now. These are your final moments, okay? Exclamation point giveaway in chat. That will give you the information on how to enter in that giveaway, and both of them are for some pretty sweet HyperX bundles. And of course, speaking of HyperX, we have to thank our sponsors and partners for helping make this entire event happen. It's been a great night with a ton of action all the way from across Hearthstone, CSGO, and Fortnite, and just a lovely weekend in general. So huge shout out and thank you to them. We have our final victors of the night, and the winners are St. Clair Esports. They are your NACE 2021 Fortnite Duo Spring Cup finals winners. So huge congratulations to them and to all of our other winners for today. Also, a huge thank you to all of the players and the schools who participated in our event today and the entire weekend. That is a wrap on our weekend of Scholastic Esports competition. It was a weekend filled with impressive gameplay across 6 different titles, and all of our competitors and schools played their hearts out. Huge thank you to everyone who participated in our event and helped to make it great. And of course, thanks to all of you for hanging out with us and watching. On behalf of my fellow casters, Pyra, Tyke, Trevor, and Troy, our sponsors and partners, and of course, the team behind the scenes, thanks for watching the 2021 NACE Collegiate Championship Series, as well as the 2021 NACE High School Championship. We'll see you next time. Good night.